Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Tower Dive. I'm Dota, and this week joining me is team captain and jungler for some random club, SRC Divine, washed up former ADC, he also failed at mid lane, and current top laner for Pawn Sacrifice White VillianInGlasses, head caster and New Hampshire famous chef Vossloh, and finally it's the ADC for Solar Phoenix, who single-handedly proved Jadway is the only carry on the team by playing tank Ezreal and still winning NesquikandChill. So, we're going to get into our first question. I want to talk about Aether Esports. This team has been a roller coaster this season. If anyone's been following them, which has probably only been about 2 other people besides myself, they started off with the win, went on a 3-game loss streak, somehow, someway got hot, went 5-1, with those wins including beating, at that time, the undefeated Rift Dragons, who are still currently number 1, as well as the 3rd place Galaxy Gaming Dragons. They now currently find themselves within another 3-game loss streak. So what's the deal with this team? What's the problem? And how can they ensure that they get into playoffs? What do they need to change? We'll start with you, SRC Divine, please.
In all honesty, I feel like it's probably a jungle gap. The only inconsistency I really see with the team is Gimpy, Longtomi either doing really good or really bad. Fridge is a really good and consistent player, and AE Dway is good whether his team invest the resources in him or not. The only inconsistency I see, like I said, is Gimpy Longtomi either being a ward for his team or actually doing damage and being able to help their team.
Okay. What about top? I don't think you mentioned top lane, did you?
No, I have not. The top laner, when he's put on a carry, he can definitely do work. I've seen him on tanks, but his Renekton and his set are a lot more better than really anything else he really plays, really.
All right. So your focal point is Gimpy. That's it. If he does well,
Very
they
much.
win. He doesn't do well, they lose.
Yeah, exactly. It's just really down the jungle gap.
All right, that's fair enough. I like it. Nesquik.
To keep it nice, short, and sweet, I think the AE needs to find what was working for them when they're on their hot streak and keep pushing their leads. They also need to put their lost games behind them and to keep moving in the right path. Anything is wishy-washy in this season, so I think if they just stick to what was working and get on their comfort picks, they should do fine.
Yeah, comfort picks. I think that's a big one as well. We've seen that with Fridge. A lot of his champ pool's I'd say a little off meta, but yeah, comfort picks. I like it. VillianInGlasses.
Going off kind of what Divine says, I do think that Gimpy's a very feast or famine jungler. I did have the glorious privilege of playing a full season with Gimpy, and he's very much a more tank-oriented jungler who definitely has moments of greatness and moments of plenty of question mark pings spammed on him, both from casters and players alike. And as someone who got to watch that Aether Esports versus Eclipse game, to me, it really feels like Fridge is a solid player who's still adjusting to mid lane, whereas I feel like their bot lane almost always is behind or kind of lost. So I think that a lot of the difficulties stem from whether or not the bot gap is big enough that they can compensate for themselves, or if they have a way around it through Fridge just hard carrying with these team fight picks. So I do think that it's interesting that they kind of go on these streaks. I'd have to look at exactly who they were beating in a lot of their wins, but like it's hard to say exactly what their issue is, and more so kind of direct it towards the players and figuring out like what are their strengths, like they mentioned.
Yeah, okay. No, definitely. I like that a lot. Vossloh, your thoughts, please.
First of all, I think that they need to show up to games on time.
Yeah,
like
That
there.
helps too. Yeah, that helps too.
Definitely helps. I've heard that.
We're basically doing this whole roster swap thing, especially against EQE. They had a lot of issues going into that, and it was like very, it was a struggle. Also, a lot of their team is, I think there's 4 players on the team that played top lane. Fridge, Gimpy also plays top lane, and also Dewey was a top laner before that. And then they have, I believe, Robbie Toms is their top laner.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I thought. Then good moniker is their support, and so that's a big thing. But they really excel at these team fights, and they're all very good at team fighting, and that's what I think that they really hard bank on. I like seeing Gimpy on things like the Amumu with the Rumble combo. It's really, really gross, and they can really snowball some team fights if they can get that going. Realistically, I don't know if they're ever going to get anything like that combo ever again, but I'm just looking forward to like maybe an old Sad Boys combo when Fridge is the top laner there with like Malphite and Fiddlesticks, but we'll see it as it comes.
Okay. I like that point. A bunch of top laners. Top lane Esports coming out the gate. So, my thoughts on the whole AE situation. I took a look at their wins and losses. So far this season, their losses have been against both Pawn Sacrifices, both EQs, EQ Storm before the boom, Solar Phoenix, and Shadow Mustangs Unleashed. So to me, that indicates that this is a mid-tier team, because in my opinion, all of those teams are playoff caliber. Obviously, Storm not anymore because, well, they boomed. But before that, they were, we only saw 2 weeks of them, but they looked like a playoff caliber team. And I definitely think both Pawn Sacrifices are, EQE, and Solar Phoenix, all playoff caliber teams. So to me, that says that they are probably a playoff caliber team because they're beating the teams below them, but they're losing to the teams above them, which, pretty standard for a mid-tier team. So I think that they'll make playoffs, but they're going to be the weakest of the groups, basically make quarters and lose. And they've looked pretty good in their wins. They look good against Rift and GGD, so they can 100% pull it off, do the whole Miracle on Ice bit, but they just need to do something. I kind of want to touch on the point SRC Divine mentioned. He said that Jungle Gap, well, I don't want to blame Gimpy for their losses. I do think that their wins come off the back of Fridge/Gimpy. That whole mid-jungle synergy, I feel like we've been seeing a lot of that in duo this season, and I think AE seem to be doing well with it as well. So I think they just need to, A, make sure Gimpy and Fridge are on the same page, player-wise, and then champion-wise. I think they need to try to maybe tailor their draft to what works good with this jungler, or Fridge wants to play this champ, so what's a good jungler with him? Type deal. And I think that'll propel them up a little bit in the standings instead of being a 500 win rate team.
And to be fair with that, I think for sure they're probably going to be in the playoffs, just looking at Dragon Division. I don't know if TPR or SRC, sorry, Divine, are going to be able to catch up and match them in the time we have left. They played 13 of I think we have 19 games total. So
yeah.
A 3-4 game cushion is probably more than enough unless they absolutely tank, and they still have second round robins against EQ Storm, against TPR, against SRC, and so if they win just those games alone, they're likely locked in. So they'll probably make playoffs, but I don't think we'll see them win a playoff series against any of the other playoff teams.
Well, I already said it in general chat. When SRC come back and their wrath will be swift, don't call it a comeback because they never left. So I'm banking on SRC making it. You agree, Divine?
I very, very wholeheartedly.
Wholeheartedly agree. You're going to see SRC pulling out that 4 slot. All right, you heard it here first, folks. Don't call it a comeback. All right, so let's get into
our... it.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great run. But let's get into that second question now. So, second question is right now it seems the closest playoff race, which we were kind of talking about, is in Baron Division in my mind. I think EQE are barely holding on to it by a thread, holding on to that number 4 spot. With Midnight Gaming, Fight Club, and Shadow Mustangs all nipping at their heels, right behind them by just a couple of games. So, who makes it into playoffs from the Baron, and who is finishing last? I want some hot takes in this. Vossloh.
I'm gonna have to. Oh man, a lot of these teams are so close in skill. I think, obviously, PSB number 1. I think Solar Phoenix probably holds on to number 2, keeps it nice and strong. GGD probably 3rd. I'm hoping. We did mention that there might have been some changes to their roster, but right now they're still looking. They might fall out, but I think that they can probably maintain it and figure out what's going on. 4th, I think Shadow Mustangs can probably come up from the grave. That's my guess. I think Shadow Mustangs is probably the next strongest team. They do not have the best record because of the record that they received, but I think that they'll do that, and then it'll probably be EQE, Midnight, and Fight Club is my guess.
Fight Club last, you said?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. Yep. No. Like it. Villain.
So very similar to his top of the table. I think PS Black, Solar Phoenix is pretty much locked up in those 1-2, barring any drastic changes. Because of the lead they have right now, I think Galaxy Gaming does hold on to the 3 spot. And most of that just comes into the fact that I think the bottom 4 teams there fighting for that last spot are all going to be trading wins with each other, as we've already started to see happening with, Fight Club beating SMU, but SMU's beaten, GGD, and they challenged teams like Pawn Sacrifice Black and Solar Phoenix. So, SMU did just switch their roster, so Merlin is moving down from top to mid, and they flipped those roles, which I don't know why they didn't do that to begin with, given he's the Malzahar one trick. But I like SMU to make a run. I don't think it'll be enough though. I think EQ Eclipse probably 4 is going to be able to hold off the rest of the pack, and then I think it probably goes SMU, Fight Club, and Midnight last.
Okay. Midnight last. All right. A little bit different. That's quick.
To be honest with you, we just scrimmed Midnight Gaming last night, and off of that scrim, I think Midnight Gaming will see them in the playoffs. They started off pretty rough, but they had their shines against us in our scrim. Not gonna lie, their bot lane was pretty versatile, and how they played aggro, not aggro, made the right calls and everything. And throughout the season, I'm somewhat new here, but from just seeing what they did last night, it kind of made me think that they're gonna be up there. And they can also flex many of their lanes around their picks, and I think it's gonna be I think we're going to be seeing them up in the top 4.
Okay. What are you thinking for like the bottom 4?
Bottom 4, I think it's going to be about the same. I think FC is going to be the last team off of what we saw from SRC game. I'm not too confident in their jungler. After the great smite that we have here of the smite off the Elder, I definitely think FC could have closed the game earlier, but they didn't, and I don't think they have a good chance of closing games in the right time frame.
No, 100%. Okay, got it. SRC Divine, let's hear your thoughts on the Baron.
So the first two are consistent with the others. I do think Pawn Sacrifice Black and Solar Phoenix will definitely stay number 1, number 2. However, whenever we played Galaxy Gaming Dragons, I do feel like we honestly would have won that game if I didn't just run into their team and try to 1v5. I just don't feel like they're up to par as the other teams. Yes, they have like a lot of wins, they have a cushion, but I feel like they're gonna lose the rest of their games and they're gonna fall under the playoffs. I believe EQE will also fall under, and I know this is not popular, but I feel like SMU will take the number 3 and a Fight Club is gonna take number 4. Kind of like Nesquik said, I feel like Fight Club's jungler isn't up to par, but I feel like with this top laner, I think their synergy has definitely gotten a lot more brighter, and I see MGM being last and EQE just right above that.
Okay, so you got top 2, 3rd SMU, 4th as Fight Club?
Fight Club, yes sir.
Okay. Woo! That's spicy. That is spicy, and I like that thoroughly. All right. All right.
Fight Club.
All right. Well, they got
I'm
at
a
least one
believer
fan.
now.
No, I like it. All right. You convinced me. You talked me into it. That's who I support. So my thoughts on it. I do think SMU are going to make playoffs. 100%. I think they looked pretty good. So far, I mean, we've only seen them for 6 games, I believe. They came in with an 0-6 record, and they're like 4-9 right now. So they're 4-3 record. It's not great, right? And it's not great at all. But I think they did look pretty decent in a couple of their losses. They lost to Solar Phoenix. I believe they lost to Rift Dragons. And
They've lost to PS Black, PS White, and Fight Club recently, I believe, are the 3.
oh, okay,
So
okay.
sure one of them was us.
Okay, yeah, I remember the PS White one, yes. So, I think they're going to make it. I don't know. It's super close, and the problem is, I think if they had the full start, the full season, whatever you want to call it, I think they 100% make it in. But the problem keeping them down is obviously coming in with an 0-6 record, assuming the spot before them, which was AOP, I believe. Always on point, yes. So that's the problem. So, I don't know. You really threw me for a loop, Divine, with that GGD not making playoffs. I think that honestly, if that happens, because basically in my mind, I was putting those 3 kind of locked in. But you're right, GGD hasn't been looking great the past couple of weeks. So I think that right there is probably the big what if. If GG don't make it, which I think a lot of people are kind of banking on, that really throws everything else into it. But I think SMU are going to make it. I don't have faith in Fight Club. EQE and MGM, I think, are going to be hot on the heel. So let's throw GGD out there. GGD don't make it. They boom. They EQ storm it. Then that means Shadow Mustangs, and I'm going to put either EQE or MG. I don't know. Man, Divine blew my mind. I had a perfect answer, and then he said GG don't make it. Then I started thinking about it, and now I'm wondering myself. Oof, Divine.
I guess that question comes as to who can actually, like, GGD. You assume they win against one or two of those matches. You know, who are these lower teams going to beat? Like, which of these teams is going to take down Solar Phoenix or PS Black to get that critical win they need to like push them further? And it has to happen almost twice, right? Like, you need like EQ Eclipse and SMU to beat Solar Phoenix, and I don't see that happening, right? Like, one maybe, but both of them winning is very hard to see for me. And like at the same time, you need Galaxy Gaming to essentially just hard tank down for two of these teams to make playoffs. So it's so hard to close these gaps with so few games left when the only teams you're playing are the teams that you're also fighting for these spots with.
Yeah.
This man bringing in logic, and we're just talking about the spice.
Look, man, I want to see it happen too, dude. I want to hear the story of which team tanked harder, EQ Storm or Galaxy Gaming Dragons. You know, that's the real story of the season. But I do
don't
think GGD still hangs on to that spot.
Yeah, it feels like a professional versus an amateur because EQ Storm, I believe, haven't won a game since week 2.
We lost to them.
Yeah, they won. Week 2 was their last game of winning. Since then, it has been nothing but absolute. You sank my battleship. Yeah, you basically tie a rock to them because they are just falling. But that's not the point of the story. So let's get back to the questions. We have two more quick questions here. So we're seeing Pawn Sacrifice White closing the gap on Rift Dragons, at least in my mind. Maybe you guys disagree. Are they going to be able to take this top spot in Dragon Division, and will they show us Pawn Sacrifice dominated league? We'll go with you, Divine.
I gotta apologize, VillianInGlasses. I don't think so. I think Rift Dragons will probably stand on top. Just because I feel like Rift Dragons have a lot more synergy than y'all. Y'all, I mean, it's 50-50, right? Because y'all are both phenomenal teams. Y'all both definitely dominate most of the other teams in our division. And I gotta say, it's gonna be a close one to watch. But I do see Rift Dragons pulling it on top.
Okay, got it. Nesquik.
I'm gonna match that statement. I'm gonna say personally, I do not think we're gonna be seeing a PS dominated league because Rift Dragons, they're gonna just push forward, do what they do best. They're already up there, and I think they're gonna hold firm to their lead. At the same time, I believe we're gonna take down PSB. It's gonna be Solo on top.
Okay. Villain.
Well, as the resident member of PSY, it'd be foolish of me to say I don't think we can claim first. I think that it's going to be a matter of our division holding us back, and that I don't see Rift Dragons dropping 2 games, let alone 1. The biggest game, obviously, that matters is not this week or next week, but the second week away out. I think it's week 10 we play them off stream, and obviously that'll probably be like essentially the deciding match of if we even can contest, because that'd either widen the gap to 3 games or shorten it to 2, 1, or somehow we overtake them depending on like how the weeks sort out. But I don't think anybody else in our league can beat them between like Team Darkspark or Aether. Obviously EQ Storm is anchored down, and SRC TPR, I don't see them taking down Rift Dragons. So I think we finish second with four losses still. I do think we sweep the end of the table. I think we look good going into playoffs.
I like it. Okay. Villain? Sorry, Vossloh, you just answered.
I'll go again if you want me to. I can say that.
Sorry.
Yeah, say it again.
Yeah,
but
this Pawn Sacrifice White team sucks. Their top laner is garbage. Like,
go on.
He should be playing ADC where he belongs, and we bring back Daddy
yeah?
Zillion, the legendary support player from Active
This man's
Rush.
talking my language, absolutely talking my language. And frankly, I think PS White are gonna need it because I think Okina shits on your bot lane and your top laner shits on you. So
Wow.
I think Nano's probably the second best top laner in the league. I think he's really, really good. I think the PS White's advantage comes in mid and jungle, and I think that they do have a potential to take this off if they play an earlier game focused mid lane matchup with good roaming potential into the position to get dragons with their jungler, and then they could potentially take this game. But realistically, I think it's a hard climb. So I do think Pawn Sacrifice White can, but will they? You know what? No, I'm gonna have to say Rift Dragon's still going.
What a hard pause.
Yeah.
I
He just
mean,
did it to
it's
give
close,
fans false
right?
hope.
It is
Shattered.
close, which is, I'll take
Yeah.
those. We take
It
those.
is damn close.
And,
It is damn close, but it's hard. I
I-
think the difference will come in the bot lane and the top lane. Hey,
I do think people don't give our bot lane enough credit. Because when they do carry, like we've seen Kiri's Bard absolutely like 1v9 games, especially that one game where I played Vayne top and Hardented. So, like, I finished that game 10-7, but if not for Kiri's Bard finding picks, we'd probably lose to Galaxy Gaming handily. So I think people don't give our bot lane enough credit. I think we have issues for sure, which every team does. But the one defense I'll make is that when we did play Rift Dragons, we did not have our full roster, which was the same story with us against EQ Storm. So that's, take it with a grain of salt. Not making excuses here, but I'm just saying I haven't played against Nano yet, so we can't say I'm worse than him. But we'll see.
Okay.
I have to say that I'm pretty sure Rift Dragons might have the best bot lane in the league. That's probably my guess. I think that's my hot take. So I think at the end of the day, your bot lane, Peanut and Kiri are looking very good, but I think they're probably maybe in the top 5 of best bot lanes in the league. So I think Rift Dragons
Maybe my
bot lane
plan
is
was right. Maybe we do move me to bot lane. We bring Daddy Zillion back, and we get back, the best bot lane in the history of duo esports.
Oh
Well,
wow.
best bot and friends existed, but you're close.
That's true. That's true.
All right, I gotta ask Divine. So he had the spicy GGD aren't gonna make playoffs, or he doesn't think they're gonna make top 4. Do you think anything for Dragon? You got any spicy, foreseeable events happening to maybe not PS White making playoffs or anything of that sort, dropping to like 4th?
No, not
Is
at
it
all.
possible?
Okay.
I don't think so at all. But I definitely do think Dota's correct, and SRC will be definitely making a comeback. We just got to win the rest of our games. EQS, easy claps. TBR is definitely looking like a decent team currently. So I mean, most of these games are going to end up bloodbath. Hopefully not 50-minute bloodbaths, but they are going to be some bloodbaths.
Okay. Well, that's fair. All right. So no spicy predictions for that one. All right. My thoughts on it. So right now, I think the closest race in Baron, like I said, was the playoff, the 4th slot. And I think the same for Dragon, but it's for the number 1 seed. I think it's super close between Pawn Sacrifice and Rift. And I can't wait for the rematch, and then also just to see how the regular season goes. Because Pawn Sacrifice White, once they kind of solidified their roster, made sure everyone started showing up, they've only lost, I think, 2 games since then, which is the same as Rift. They've only lost 2 games. So if you kind of think about it, they're pretty close in that regard. And week 10, when they play each other, is going to be huge, because that could definitely lower the gap. And then one little misstep from either team could result in them losing that number 1 spot or taking it. So, and I know both teams are going to want to try to skip out on quarters, because why not? It's a free week off. You get to watch the other teams play, talk about their draft, talk about your own draft, get a little mental reset. Everyone wants a bye week. It's just, I mean, that's why it's so nice. Everyone wants it. So to me, I think the 1st seed is going to be the race for Dragon. Everyone else, I feel like, is kind of solidified in their position, except for some random club who's taken the 4th spot, obviously.
Exactly.
All right, so final question. What's going to be your match of the week for this upcoming week? Week 8, Vossloh.
I'm gonna have to say, first game on Saturday, it is Shadow Mustangs Unleashed versus Pawn Sacrifice Black. This is
Ooh.
gonna be pretty telling for us. As we mentioned before, I do think Shadow Mustangs Unleashed can make it to the 4th seed. This game is going to be telling. How well do they fare against Pawn Sacrifice Black? Because I believe this is the first time that they've played each other.
Yeah.
Because I believe they came in right before the cross conference. So this is my game to watch. It's the only time we'll see them play. It's probably my guess, but at the same time, it'll be telling for how the rest of their season should go.
No, 100% agree. Villain?
There's so many matches right now in the side of Baron that's going to happen, like this week specifically, because like you mentioned, Shadow Mustangs Pawn Sacrifice Black is a statement game for Shadow Mustangs, but likely won't end up being impactful for playoffs, because that's kind of, you can chalk up a lot of losses for teams facing PS Black right now. Meanwhile, you have games like GGD versus MG Midnight. That's a massive one. You have Solar Phoenix EQ Storm, so big because EQ Storm, maybe they'll make the comeback now. But more realistically, I do like the GG Midnight matchup. I think that's going to be very telling if Galaxy Gaming keeps this downward trend and MG Midnight can start picking up wins against them, and EQ Eclipse, they can start to see their stock rising, and possibly, maybe we do see GGD falling out of playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. That'll be very telling if GGD deserve the playoff in Baron or not. Nesquick.
I think it's going to be our game, Solar Phoenix versus EQE. Sorry, we've been practicing pretty hard. Some pretty interesting picks. I will say that. I'm just going to say we're going to be the G2 of this league. Just saying it now. We got the Vygar pick in the bot lane. We've got the Ez tank bot lane, and we're just going to see what goes from here.
So
But
what you're saying is your AD carry can't play AD carries.
No, I've also played Tristana and
No, but you said
popped
G2
off
of the
just
league.
as well. Yeah, GT still plays ADCs.
Not well.
Not well, but that's
Wow.
what we got one up on them. I will say we've been working pretty well together, and we're gonna keep this roll going from interesting streams to keep it pretty nice and spicy for y'all.
All right, you heard it here. Solar Phoenix better than G2. Confirmed. SRC Divine, your thoughts?
I have to agree with Vossloh. I think it will be definitely for my match of the week. I think it will be Shadow Mustangs Unleashed versus Pawn Sacrifice Black. I personally, like Vossloh stated, it is going to be a telltale see of how SMU's season will see if they can compete with Pawn Sacrifice Black. I do think they will definitely get a playoff spot, like I said before. But I'm expecting SMU to pull off an upset versus Pawn Sacrifice Black. 13 green engines, Slick Drake in the bot lane are definitely dominant when they're ahead. And Merlin KL, you put him on Malzahar top, he can do a lot of stuff. And yeah.
Wow. I can't believe you, Divine. You picked the Pawn Sacrifice game. My pick is the Some Random Club versus Aether Esports, Saturday on the 25th. My reasoning for this is I think Aether are on that cusp of, are we a playoff team or not? I think they are. Some Random Club is fighting to stay alive in the playoffs. If they lose this game, giving Aether another win, themselves another loss, I think that's basically done. Out of the season, unless TDS completely explodes or Aether completely explodes after this, winning literally 0 games. But if Some Random Club win, it looks very good because they're showing that they can beat Aether, who have beat numerous other top-tier teams. Plus, it gives them a win, confidence booster, closes the gap, brings Aether down a little bit more. So I think that's my play because you guys need the win or else it's looking grimy. You know what I mean?
No, very true. And the only reason I didn't say that game was because we're going to win that game.
Ah!
I'm calling out Gimpy Long told me right now. I think I'm a way more better jungler. And you're going to see that in this game. It's going to be jungle different.
Okay, so what you're saying is Saturday, April 25th at 9 p.m. EST, we're going to see Jungle Gap.
You're going to see a jungle gap. Yeah.
Divine's gonna pick Set, and he's gonna be like, "Meet me in the parking lot, Gimpy. How's that a move feeling?"
I will
like
say,
Soraka jungle and still win.
I will say, in order for y'all to win that game, y'all must close out the game before 49 minutes.
Very much so.
Or just pick one.
I have to agree with that.
Things have happened in your last 2 games that have happened at 48 minutes and have lost you the game. I will say that.
Ooh.
Either if it's not recalling or just pushing. The Smite Steel was great. Y'all had the chance to come back. Lost the team fight, I think it was, with Elder Drake.
We got caught out. We were trying to push it in him. Yeah.
Yeah, so y'all just have to, I think, fucking pick early champs, push your leads, and just fucking roll them over.
If our mid laner wasn't trash, we probably could end like that, but he's really scared.
It's
but
toxic.
I agree. Like I think we're gonna have to win pre 30 minutes, I believe. They are really dominant
you have to.
in the late game. Yeah, we're going to pick early game chance. We're just gonna have to pop it out.
All right, I like that. Can't wait to see that. Can't wait to have some jungle main casters to watch that jungle cap and comment on it. So, yeah, I think that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us on the Tower Dive. We are at Twitch TV/Duo Esports. We'll be streaming Friday 7 p.m. EST and Saturday 7 p.m. EST. You're on YouTube already. Hit that subscribe button. We try to upload content at least a couple times per week. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Duo Esports. You'll find us everywhere. Thank you guys for joining me. SRC Divine, Solar Phoenix Nesquik, Pawn Sacrifice White VillianInGlasses, and also Headcaster Vossloh. I've been Dota. See you guys next week.